Join me as I talk about all the notable new manga releases coming in May of 2023. There are a ton of new manga coming out this month. It's insane. It's like a huge list. So with that said, I am going to be kind of rushing through this stuff, not spending as much time on each series as I would usually like to, because there are so many here. But it's a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of things that I'm excited for, and a lot of stuff that I'm hoping y'all are excited for as well. And if you're new here, if this is your first time watching one of these manga buyer's guides, welcome. Let me explain a few things to you before we get started. Number one, I'm not covering every new release for the month. I'm only covering what I call notable new releases, and basically that is new first volumes, new single volume titles, new final volumes, special editions, box sets, stuff like that. There will be a couple of things in between that I'll cover as well, like volumes in the middle of the series that I think are notable. There's one of those in this. But for the most part, I'm not just covering the newest volume of the popular shonen or seinen title that everyone follows, because we all know when there's a new volume of that series coming out. This is to try and help people to find new things that they otherwise might have missed, because there are so many new titles that come out every single week that it's easy for something to just fly below the radar that could have been your new favorite. Second thing I want to cover is release dates. I go over these by the official release date at the time that I make this video, but as always, some of these are going to be available earlier than the release date, and some of these are going to be available later. They will get delayed and pushed back to other weeks or to other months. And the third point is, if you are on Twitter, I would really appreciate it if you follow me at OmniCollector, and if you buy any of the volumes that I talk about, specifically because I mentioned it here, you didn't know anything about it, or you were going to pass on it, but because I talked about it in this video, you decided to pick it up, please follow me over there, tag me when you get the book, tag the publisher to let them know that I'm out here talking up their stuff. It really does help me quite a bit, and this has given me the opportunity to have Yen Press send me a lot of new releases every month so that I can make sure to talk about those and let y'all know that you should be excited about them. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump on into it, starting with the books from the first week, the ones that came out on the 2nd of May, and we've got a few good ones in this week, starting off with Kodansha's Lovely Muko. This is the first omnibus edition. It's a 2-in-1, I believe. It's a slice of life that follows Komatsu and his dog Muko, and Muko wishes for nothing more than Komatsu to become a Shiba Inu himself. Next up, we have My Stepmother and Stepsisters Aren't Wicked from 7 Seas. This is a comedy slice of life of a girl named Mia whose mother dies, and she's taken in by her father's estate, and so she's to be raised by her stepmother, and she has a bunch of stepsisters. So she believes this is going to be kind of a Cinderella situation where all of her stepsisters and her stepmother are going to be just evil and mean to her for no reason, but as it turns out, they're all very nice and very kind to her. Next up, we have Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. I do have the first volume of that one already from Kodansha. This one did have an anime adaptation somewhat recently. It's about, if you're not familiar with it, it's about Iruma, whose soul was sold by his parents. And so now he has to go to a demon school where he has to hide the fact that he's human so that he can continue to survive. Next up, we have Shaman King Flowers Volume 1, also from Kodansha. I'm extremely excited about this one. This is the first Shaman King sequel or spin-off to get a physical English release. We do have some digital releases of some of the spin-offs and stuff from Kodansha, but not physical. This one is by Hiroyuki Takei. He does the story and the artwork. In a lot of those spin-offs, he only does the story. He doesn't get involved in the art and stuff. But this one you would want to read directly after finishing the main series, whose omnibus editions just wrapped up release somewhat recently. Hopefully this one does well enough that Kodansha will consider releasing more of those spin-offs and sequels and stuff physically for us English speakers. Next up, we have A Hero in the Demon's Castle. This is a single volume BL coming from Kuma about a demon lord who meets a young hero that surprises him when he asks to live with him. That one sounds pretty fun, and it is only a single volume. I might pick that one up when it becomes available. Next up from 7 Seas, we have I'm Not Meat Volume 3. This is the final volume of this seinen sex comedy series about a guy who is like deathly afraid of women who come onto him, and when they do come onto him, he sees them as like ravenous beasts who are trying to consume him, and so therefore the title, I'm Not Meat. This has been a very funny series, but it also brings up some pretty heavy topics when it comes to workplace harassment. Overall, I'm very excited to see how this one ends, and that it is only 3 volumes is really cool for anyone who wants to try something new out, but doesn't want to take up a lot of space on their shelves or commit to spending a lot of money. And then going back to Kodansha, we have volume 13 of Blood on the Tracks. This is the first like post-time skip volume in this this thriller drama series. If you haven't been reading it, this is a really good time to get into it, which is why I'm mentioning the series now. It's really fantastic. It is really heavy, keep that in mind, but the first 12 volumes you can read all together, as Oshimi, the creator, did state they were kind of a prologue. 12 volumes for a prologue, though, is kind of much, but that's what he called it. And then he said that the real story begins with volume 13. So I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite ongoing titles right now. So you can pick up those first 12 volumes, read through them, and jump into the meat of the story, the real story, now that volume 13 is finally out. And then we have 2 delayed releases that are currently scheduled to come out for the first week of the month. That's Happy Crappy Life from Kuma and March Comes In Like a Lion from Denpa. I do know that there are physical editions of both of those, and I think that they are both available at Right Stuff now. At least Happy Crappy Life is. But even if that weren't true, I know that Denpa has been selling them through their Twitter account, so they do exist, and they'll be available for wide distribution pretty soon. Now, let's move into the second week. These are books coming out on the 9th of May. We start off with a new series from Shoujo Beat, and that is Wolf Girl and Black Prince. This follows a young girl who lies about being in a relationship with a really cute guy that she sees, but she finds out that he's like the most popular guy in their school, and he finds out that she made up this lie about their relationship, and so he comes to her and says, hey, I will keep your secret, and we can act like we're doing that thing, but you're going to be my dog, and you are going to do everything that I ask you to. Next up, we have Twilight Out of Focus from Vertical. This is a BL about 2 dorm mates who have rules to keep their lives simple, but things don't always go as planned. Then we have The Death Mage coming from One Piece. This is the manga companion to, I believe, a light novel series. After Hiroto's class is wiped out, a god appears and tells him that he'll protect him and give him skills before being reincarnated into a new world. But something went wrong, and when he's reincarnated into that new world, he has nothing. He has no skills whatsoever. And so he just has to kind of figure out how to survive. Then we have from 7 Seas, Soloist in a Cage. I believe this one is available to read on the Manga Plus app from Shueisha. This is a 3-volume series about an orphan named Chloe and her baby brother who are held in a prison the size of a city that houses many criminals. One day, a fellow inmate begins to hatch a plan to break them all out. Next up, we have Tsumasaki ni Korozu from Digital Manga Publishing. This is a single-volume BL about a student named Iwai who meets an unsociable man named Murota, and over time he enjoys the days they spend together as well as looking after Murota, realizing over time that he's developing feelings for him. Next up, from Udon, we've got Record of Lodoss War Crown of the Covenant. I have no experience with the Lodoss War franchise, so I apologize as I stumble through this description, but this is the first of a 3-volume series starting a new era for the world of Record of Lodoss War. Lodoss has been peaceful for 100 years, however, a ruler from the Flame Kingdom threatens to bring about war. New heroes appear to save the kingdoms as Prince Lyle of Marmo seeks help from the High Elf Deedlit. Again, I know nothing about Lodoss War. Next up, we have PTSD Radio Volume 3. This is the 3rd and final 2-in-1 omnibus. Not that the series is over, but it has been on hiatus for a long time, and it doesn't look like it's going to be coming back anytime soon. So if you want a very creepy horror manga to read, despite the fact that it's on hiatus, I assure you it will still be entertaining, then you can pick up the 3 2-in-1 volumes of PTSD Radio. The reason that it's gone on hiatus might actually inspire some horror fans to pick it up is that the creator started to experience things in his real life similar to the happenings from the story, and he became so scared that he had to stop writing. And finally, due out on the second week is the reprint of the Franken-fran franken-fran omnibus editions from 7 Seas. All 4 franken-fran omnibus will be reprinted, which is really nice because, if I'm not mistaken, it's been kind of hard to find for a good price for a little while. So it's cool that they're reprinting this. I know that they recently did a reprint of the Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer series as well, so it's nice to see 7 Seas kind of coming out and doing all these reprints of titles that people have wanted to be able to buy. Hopefully some of their other ones get reprinted in the near future as well. Now, moving on to the 3rd week, these are going to be books that come out on the 16th of May. Starting off with a new series from Shonen Jump, we get Dark Gathering. This series follows Keitaro, who hates ghosts, but unfortunately they have a strong attraction to him. 2 years ago, this strong attraction caused an accident that left him with a spiritual wound, and also a friend of his was caught in the crossfire. Because of this, he has since become a shut-in, but now 2 years later, he decides that he wants to start kind of coming out of his cage, and he decides to get a job as a tutor. However, the first student that he's tutoring is the sister of a friend of his, and this sister has her own spiritual connections, except she doesn't try to avoid the spirits, she doesn't hate them, but she's embracing them because she's trying to find the spirit that took away her mother. And so with that connection, Keitaro gets dragged along on her search for this particular ghost. Next up, we get one from Tuttle, and that is A History of Japan in Manga. So this is a history book of Japan's entire history from the formation of the country to current stuff in manga form. I picked it up, I ordered a copy, it's available a little bit early just to check it out and see how it is, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty fun little way to learn about Japanese history. Next up, we have one from Yen Press, and that is Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon. This one they sent my way, and for all of the Yen Press releases, I only read the first chapter because there were so many new releases. I didn't want to spend a ton of time reading every single chapter that was in every single volume, or else this video would have been very delayed. So I read the first chapter, and while I'm not a big isekai guy, because most isekai and like reincarnation isekai are pretty much seem like the same thing over and over and over again, just the fact that it's reincarnated into something random like a vending machine made me interested in seeing how this one was, and I was not disappointed. So if you haven't heard of it, the story follows a guy who is a vending machine otaku in his life, and what that means is he gets excited about going to new vending machines, trying out new machines, and buying new things from them. He's a patron to as many vending machines as he can possibly afford to be. However, one day something happens and he sees a vending machine that's about to fall over, and because he loves vending machines, he wants to protect it so it doesn't break, and he tries to get in front of it, and instead of being able to stop it from falling, it falls on top of him and it kills him, and he is reborn in another world as a vending machine. He then is about to get attacked by some frog beasts, and this woman comes and saves him, and she starts, buying some stuff from him, from his vending machine, because he does have actual goods inside of him, and she exclaims how good everything tastes, how high quality everything is, and she decides that she's going to take him, the vending machine, along with her, so she puts some straps on him, puts him on her back, and they go off to have their journey together. Really fun first volume. Like I said, I'm not usually an isekai person. I know a lot of people are hesitant with reincarnation isekai series, but this one definitely stands out and is a ton of fun. Next up, we have Yakuza's Bias from Kodansha. I am really, really looking forward to this one because it sounds like a ton of fun. One of the top lieutenants of the Yakuza's Washio clan is dragged along to a K-pop show by the boss's daughter, Megumi, which surprisingly turns this hardened gangster into a huge K-pop stan. Next up, we have Shibanban Super Cute Doggies. So we got another dog manga. Usually it's all cats, so I was really excited. We got at least 2 new dog manga this month. This is a full-color manga full of super cute Shiba Inus doing cute things. Then from 7 Seas, we get Last Game. This is an 11-volume shoujo rom-com that follows the seemingly perfect Naoto, whose first setback in life happened back when Mikoto comes to his school and outperforms him in everything. Naoto wants to win at even just one thing, so he decides that he's going to try and win over her heart. Now the two are in college together, and Naoto has proposed one last game to Mikoto. Next up from Tokyo Pop, we have Ogi's Summer Break. This is a BL which followed Ogi, who falls for the vision-impaired Tago, who suggests that they spend the summer together, but Ogi is afraid of rejection and that the relationship won't last. Then we have another single-volume BL manga, A Complicated Omega's Second Love, where Omega Sakura loses his memory and finds that somehow he and his colleague/rival have been mated to one another. Sakura isn't happy with the arrangement, but starts to find himself attracted to Narushige the more they spend time together. We Can't Do Just Plain Love, also from Tokyo Pop. This is a very popular spicy romance series that follows Yuino as she's transferred to Kiritani's department. Kiritani is nervous around women and can't help but to be excited around Yuino, who finds that his scent triggered a personal fetish for her. The two have a drunken fling after work one day and find that maybe they can enjoy arrangement with one another. And then we end this week with number 6, Omnibus Volume 3 from Kodansha. This is the third and final 3-in-1 omnibus for this shoujo action mystery series. I just finished the second omnibus. I've been really enjoying this one. So if you've never read it before, I do recommend it, and at only 3 omnibus editions, it's not a huge commitment either. Alright, so now we're making our way into the 4th week. These are new releases that'll come out on the 23rd, which is the biggest week of new releases for this month. Now, people always ask me about, where do you buy your manga? Where do you get all your stuff? Usually I order from Right Stuff. I do use other places like Amazon, eBay, etc. if I need to. Sometimes I'll go into Barnes & Noble. But for the most part, I do use Right Stuff. And it's a great option for people if you're in the States, but their shipping can be really expensive if you are not within the US, especially if you are not within the US or Canada, because at least Canada does have a threshold for free shipping. It's just a very high one. Now, I know that the recent closure of Book Depository is impacting a lot of people, and they are looking for new places to shop. And if you happen to be in the EU, I have been fortunate enough to partner with a fantastic seller who is located in Berlin, Germany, and that is Walt's Comic Shop. Walt's Comic Shop has their brick and mortar store in Berlin, but they also sell online and they ship all over the EU. They have a fantastic and huge selection of both manga and comic books, so if you're interested in buying anything from Marvel, DC, Image, etc., Walt's Comic Shop can help you out with that as well. Now, if you've never shopped with Walt's before, you can go check them out at waltscomicshop.com, and you can use code TheOmnibusCollector to get free shipping within the EU on your first order of over €40. So again, check out Walt's Comic Shop, especially for those of y'all who are looking for a new place to shop after the closure of Book Depository. I know there's a lot of people impacted by that. If you're looking for English language manga, try out Walt's, and again, use code TheOmnibusCollector for free shipping on your first order of €40 or more. Now, getting into those manga from the 23rd, because there are a lot of them. We start off with one from Seven Seas, A Story of Seven Lives. This is a complete 3-in-1 omnibus edition that follows a former house cat named Nanao and his adventures alongside his new best friend, a stray named Machi. The artwork in this one, at least from the covers, absolutely stunning. Kind of reminds me of Jill Thompson's watercolor art from the Beasts of Burden series. So yeah, just putting that out there. It's a really beautiful looking book. Then from Kodansha, we get Tsugumi Project. Over 200 years after Japan was devastated by nuclear war, the island has become cut off from the world and is full of scientific wonders, monuments to the past, and irradiated monsters. A falsely convicted French soldier named Leon finds himself on a cargo plane on its way to Japan. He and the other convicts are given a year to locate a powerful weapon known as Toratsugumi in exchange for their freedom. This one sounds great. I love giant monsters, so I'm going to try this one out when it comes out. Then from Viz, we get a new Star Wars manga, Star Wars High Republic Edge of Balance Precedent. I've not read anything from the High Republic era of Star Wars. No manga, no comics, no novels, no nothing. But this looks like it is a spin-off of the previous manga, Edge of Balance, and apparently follows the Wookiee Jedi named Arkoff as he journeys to aid his fellow Jedi against the path of the open hand. And then from Seven Seas, another dog manga, Even Dogs Go to Other Worlds. This one is an adaptation of a light novel series which follows Takumi, who's transported to a forest where his puppy Leo is transformed into a giant dog, and together they try to have the best, most laid-back life that they can. Then from Seven Seas, again, we have the Dragon King's Imperial Wrath, falling in love with the bookish princess of the Rat Clan. So quite the title. In a land with 13 kingdoms, the Rat Clan is the weakest, while the Dragon Clan is the strongest. The princesses of many clans are summoned to the Dragon King as he is seeking a bride. Rui Ying from the Rat Clan decided to hide away in the kingdom's library, which is where the Dragon King meets her, and they spark an immediate connection. Then back to Tokyo Pop, we get My Dear Agent. This is a BL about a professional bodyguard and the rookie that he has to train and inadvertently let into his own home, where the rookie begins to flirt with him incessantly. Then from Seven Seas, we get Who Made Me a Princess, a manhwa about a woman who wakes up as the baby Athanasia, the princess of the Obelian Empire and the protagonist of The Lovely Princess. As well, she, in the story, is executed by her own father. The woman is determined to avoid the character's tragic fate and attempts to charm her father into not killing her this time. Alright, so now we've got a whole bunch of Yen press releases to go over. These are the things that they sent me early. First up, we have Elden Ring, The Road to the Erd Tree. I admittedly have never played the Elden Ring game, so I didn't know anything about it going into this manga, but I did ask a friend of mine. I showed him the manga and he looked at it and he was like, yeah, this follows the game, but it's just a comedic version of that. So it is a comedy version of the events of the Elden Ring game, but the artwork is not what you would expect from like a comedy series. The artwork is really fantastic, detailed work that you would expect from a normal dark fantasy manga. I will say I really enjoyed what I read of this first volume. I want to keep going, and it does make me want to pick up the Elden Ring game. Next up we have Suzune Magica, the latest omnibus edition spin-off from the Madoka Magica franchise. I have never read or watched anything past just the original Madoka Magica series, but I did read the first chapter of this one, and it is really enjoyable. If you, like me, have not gotten into that, you didn't pick up the manga when the single volumes come out, these omnibus editions that Yen Press have been releasing might be good for you to look into. I really enjoyed the beginning. Suzune is like a magical girl assassin, and it's very like interesting the way that the series starts, so I do want to continue reading and see where it goes from here. And I'll probably rewatch Madoka Magica at some point because it has been a very long time since I've seen it. Next up, more magical girl stuff. We have Magical Girl Incident. This one was really fun. This follows Sakura, who is a normal office worker, and he one day finds himself jumping into a situation to save a child and gets himself hurt. But then all of a sudden he is brought back in the form of a magical girl, and he winds up using his powers to, you know, defend the kid that he kind of gave himself up for. And then he turns back and he doesn't know what the heck happened. How did he turn into a magical girl? Why did he turn into a magical girl? Why not a magical guy? It was just, I read the first chapter. Like I said, all these Yen Press ones I've just read the first chapters of. But it was really fun, really intriguing, and I cannot wait to continue reading this one. I'll wind up giving more detailed opinions on this one when I do my haul video for this month. Next up we have a business proposal. This one's from Eyes Press. So this is a colored series, all in color, and this one's pretty simple concept for this rom-com. Basically, a woman who works at this company goes on a blind date, and it happens to be with the CEO of the company. And at the beginning of the series, literally in the first chapter, he calls her and proposes marriage to her. And so then we will see where it goes from there. It was a pretty entertaining first chapter, so I'll continue reading to see where that goes, but I suspect there are a lot of people that are fans of the series that are just excited to see it get a physical release. Next up we have Manor of Death Volume 1. This one follows a coroner who sees the body of a childhood friend come into his offices, and they had told him that she had hung herself, but as he starts to investigate and do the autopsy, he finds that that probably is not true, that there might have been some foul play going on, and he winds up having someone try to bribe him to change the manner of death on his report. And so this kind of begins this mystery series from there. I don't know how much the series focuses on it, but I do know that there is a BL relationship in here, but it doesn't show up, at least in the first chapter. So I don't want to call it a BL manga. It's more like a mystery crime drama type thing, but there is a BL relationship in there. Next up we have Me and My Beast Boss. This one was really cute. Basically in this world you have humans and you have beast folk, and the beast folk look down upon humans. And the main character here is a woman that works in an office with a bunch of beast folk who always look down on her. They never pay her any compliment on her work and stuff. And then one day her boss comes in, and her boss looks like Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and he comes in and starts praising her and giving her tons of compliments, and she's just not used to it. So it does seem like it's going to be a pretty cute little office romance possibly type of thing, because she does find her boss to be oddly charming. So I suspect that it's going to launch into some kind of a romance. Next up we have My Dear Cursed Casting Vampiress. In this world you have vampires versus humans, but the vampires are winning in this big war, and so one of the humans who's dedicated his life to fighting the vampires has gone to enlist a vampire named Baroque to help them to defeat the other vampires. And then we have Yokohama Station SF. This one, I actually read the first 2 chapters because the first chapter really didn't give me much as far as the story goes, and even still I don't really know where the story is going after 2 chapters, but I just had to move along to save time. But it is based off of a novel, and it takes place in a Japan where basically the main island is almost entirely made up of this station, this like train station, and there are people who are outside of the train station who live outside of it, and the main character has never stepped inside of it for his entire life, but now he's kind of been enlisted to go on this job or this mission, so he has to go into the station for the first time in his life, and it's, you know, something new to him. I don't know where it's going from there. I don't know what the full plot of the series is supposed to be, but the artwork is fantastic, and I am intrigued to continue reading more. And then we get What This World Is Made Of, which is by Shin Yamamoto, I think his name? Yeah, Shin Yamamoto, who I found did a Monster Hunter manga previously, and that makes sense because this is basically just people with weapons fighting giant monsters. It's pretty entertaining. The first chapter does really well to set up the plot. Basically, you have a couple guys who are poor, down on their luck, they don't have money, and they get an opportunity from a mysterious app to find lucrative work. What that turns out to be is that they come to these spots where monsters called worlds come through to their dimension, and they have to fight them, and if they defeat them, they make a lot of money off of it. So if you like Monster Hunter, you like people versus giant monsters, that sounds fun to you, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is a really quick read too. The first chapter was very action-packed. So I'm looking forward to checking out this one. So that's the end of all the early releases that Yen Press sent me, but we do have volume 16 of Horimiya from Yen Press, which is the final volume of that series. I know that one's been long awaited for that popular shonen rom-com, so I know a ton of people are super excited. Another shonen rom-com is also ending this week on the 23rd, and that is Miss Miyazen Would Like to Get Close to You. Only 4 volumes, so the final volume, the 4th volume, is coming out this month. This one's been really cute. I've really enjoyed it. Basically, it follows a young delinquent boy who has a crush on this girl, and the girl kind of likes him because of the delinquent stuff, but he's afraid to be a delinquent because he thinks that that would scare her away, and so it's just kind of their awkward relationship and how they get started. It's very cute, and at only 4 volumes, if you want a good short shonen rom-com, this is a good one to jump into. Then we have the final volume of I'm the Cat Lord's Manservant. I don't know anything about that series, but the final volume is coming out. Next we have Gantz Omnibus Volume 12. This is the final volume of Hiroya Oku's legendary seinen sci-fi action series. If you've been following through these omnibus editions, then you get to wrap up the series now. This last one, Volume 12, does collect the last 4 volumes of the series, so it is going to be pretty thick. We got one more thing to cover on the 23rd. Going back to Yen Press, we have the Toilet Bound Hanako-kun First Stall box set, collecting the first 10 volumes of this popular shonen manga. I did make a full video kind of doing an overview of this box set, so if you are curious about that set at all, check out that video so you can get a good look at how the box looks and everything. I really love it. I think it's a fantastic set. I think it's one of the best box sets of manga that I've ever seen personally, and that's not me exaggerating just because they sent me a copy of it. Honestly, this is my favorite box set of any manga that I've seen. It's not just a nice, simple, like little slit case or anything like that. It doesn't have Velcro. It's like magnet and stuff. Very nice. I would put it up there with the like the functionality at least and the appearance of the Akira box set from Kodansha. Now, moving into the final week, we just have a few more releases to talk about. First up, Fate Grand Order Scrapbook coming from Denpa. I don't know anything about the Fate series, so I can't speak in detail, but this, from what I gather, is a collection of short stories that act as a prequel to one of the games in the Fate Grand Order franchise. Then from One Piece, we have Parallel World Pharmacy, a young pharmacologist dies from overwork and is reincarnated as the son of a physician. In this new world, he'll use his modern pharmaceutical knowledge to cure all diseases around him. And then finally, this is a big one this month, especially for the shoujo and josei fans. Don't Call It Mystery Omnibus Volume 1 from 7 Seas. We've been waiting on this one for quite a while. Very excited for this to be coming out, finally getting an English release. This is the first two-in-one omnibus edition of this series from legendary creator Yumi Tamura. If you're not familiar with Tamura's work, that's okay, it's probably not your fault, because a lot of her stuff does not get released in English, and the stuff that has been released in English, like Basara or Chicago, is very hard to find. So what is the series about? Well, essentially it follows a young man named Totono, and he just wants to live a normal, peaceful life, eating curry and doing his own thing, but he gets wrapped up in mysteries despite the fact that he would rather not. I haven't read this series yet, but that's just a brief summation of it from friends of mine who do read it. I am very excited to finally get this one. I've been wanting to read this one for quite a while. And that wraps everything up. Like I said, a lot of stuff that we had to go over this month, so this is going to be a little bit of a long video, but I tried to go over them as quickly as possible so we didn't make this too long. But let me know in the comments down below which of these that I talked about you are excited about. What are you going to be picking up this month? And tell me anything that I didn't talk about that you're picking up this month. I'm curious to know what y'all are reading. Personally, I'm picking up a lot of these. I'm very excited for a lot of these titles. Like I said, I'm super excited about Don't Call It Mystery. I'm excited to see a few good dog manga coming out. For a dog person like myself in a world full of cat manga, it's kind of hard sometimes. I'm excited to try out a couple of Kodansha's new books like Tsugumi Project and the Yakuza's Bias. There's just a ton of great things coming out this month. The month of May is stacked with amazing releases of manga from all publishers. It's the beginning of what's sure to be a great summer. So thank you everyone so much for watching this video. Whether it's your first time joining me or you've been watching my videos for a while, I appreciate every single one of you. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified of all the videos that I put out regularly. And once again, thank you so much, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.